everyone, I'm Nancy with Our Treasure Home, and this is Kim Burris, and we're starting a podcast called My Kitchen, Your Kitchen. And we're going to start talking about food allergies, products that have the ingredients in it that you may not be aware of, and everything. And then we'll talk about our journeys also that about food allergies. Who in the family? Do we have it ourselves? And everything. So I want to introduce Kim Burris. She is going to be our co-host in this. And so, Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I go by Kim. That's not my full name. It's not important. I live in Independence, Missouri. Have for several years, and I like it here. I used to have a lot of food allergies, but don't anymore. The only one I still have is soy. And you'd be amazed what they sneak that garbage into these days. Shampoo, bath soap, food, everything. It goes in there. I have environmental allergies as well. So I have to be careful going in and outdoors. But I've learned to deal with it over the years. This is stuff that I have dealt with for almost 60 years. And so I know how I handle it. And I know that there are people who would not handle it the same way, and that's okay. Each person has to handle it individually. You got to do what's best for you.
Exactly. So, were you born with the allergies?
Yes. And they discovered in the hospital right after I was born that I could not tolerate cow's milk. Well, the only other thing they had at that time was soy. So they put me on that. I had a reaction to it, but it wasn't as bad as the reaction to the cow's milk. So they left me on soy formula. Years down the road, when I was 9, I started having some real health issues, and my parents took me to a doctor there where we lived, and he started running all kinds of allergy tests, and they found a lot of them, but I didn't react to soy. So that was an ingredient that was included in foods. Having a dairy allergy, my parents were told she can't eat beef because it has the same base amino acids in it. I was allergic to feathers, and I still am, and eggs, so any kind of bird was out. I couldn't eat it. I couldn't be around them. I was allergic to the allium family, which is garlic, onions, chives, basically your seasoning group. I was allergic to the nightshade family, which includes potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, and I cannot remember the other one, but they said, you can't have these. I was pretty limited to what I could eat. I could have pork and fish, and I learned to really like both of them. I could have cabbage, carrots, peas, green beans. I could have rice. And as far as for sandwiches for school lunches, my mom would take I believe it was Oscar Mayer brand ham slices, and she would wrap those up in lettuce. And then she had a little container that she'd put mustard in, and that was what I had for lunch. And that and a diet soda. Once they got me away from all of the foods I was allergic to, and even some of the environmental stuff that I was allergic to, I started dropping weight rapidly. And I got down where I was supposed to be. And I spent 11 years fighting those allergies. And They were taken care of.
Yes.
I just the things that I still deal with is the soy allergy, which soy is not good for human consumption anyway. That's not what it was intended for. Soy was intended as an animal feed. And I'm sorry, but even though my weight may match a cow, I ain't a cow. And I get along great with dairy products. Um, I still am allergic to feathers. That being said, I cannot take the flu vaccine. I took one in 1974, and I spent the next 9 months in and out of hospitals fighting pneumonia and bronchitis. And I had 3 pulmonary specialists in Denver, Colorado tell me, young lady, don't you ever take another one because the next one's going to kill you. And I have not taken one. And it is because of the allergy to feathers. And of course, doctors immediately assume, well, this is an egg allergy. No, I can eat the eggs. I can't be around the feathers. And of course, then you add in the dust and the pollen and the tree, anything from a tree, and especially maple trees and cedar trees. Yeah, those are bad allergies. So what's my apartment surrounded with? Maple trees.
Oh
And
my
there's some big
goodness.
oak trees down here, but there's also maple. But I deal with it. So when the whole thing came out that everybody had to be in masks, I was like, well, that's nothing different for me, because when I go outside from April clear through November, a lot of times, I have a mask on. It's so that I can breathe. I'm rather attached to that now. It's kind of nice to do.
Exactly. We all like to breathe.
Yeah.
So, wow, and people just don't realize that, the allergies like this has been going on for years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, all right, so Anastasia was born in 2013, but before then, when her daddy was born, um, he would drink 2 ounces of milk and an ounce would come up. So
Mm-hmm.
our journey starts then. And because there was nobody in our family that had any food allergies that we were aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, back in the 70s and everything, nobody told family history. So
Mm-hmm.
when he was born, we finally found out that there were allergies. But his problem was that his sphincter muscle from his esophagus to his stomach would not close all the way. But they would never do an allergy test like I asked. Oh, do an allergy test. Could it be the milk? Could it be? So they put him on, I think they had him on soy, but it was, in the beginning, it was that problem. And it had been, still is, because they never did any surgery on him. So
Mm-hmm.
as a kid growing up, he realized when he put hot stuff on it, like, he would use Frank's, he didn't get sick. Well, I thought it was tomatoes. They come out around, he was 17 years old and we were living in Missouri. I was like, after all this time, could it be a milk allergy? And he looked at me because I was reading something on the computer. So it was soy we started off with. And I think it said if you were sick or something, the reaction that he had verified that he had either a dairy allergy or a lactose intolerance to it. So we start switching stuff then, and he was getting, he got better as far as that goes. And so I told him, I said, now we know. So when you ever get married and you have a child, if that baby starts throwing up, because I told him what happened when he was born. When everything starts coming up, they have an allergy to that milk.
Excuse me.
So, God bless you. So when Anastasia was born,
Yes,
I
that's
was at the
allergy.
hospital. Yeah, I went to the hospital. But they said they ran in there telling them your baby can't keep milk down. So they said switch it. And she had a milk allergy. She was born. Let me clear my throat. So when they put her on the soy and everything, and she did fine with that. And then when she was like 18 months old, 2 years old, the doctor we were going to said, "Oh, why don't you try goat's milk or goat cheese?" That was a no. That was a big no. We went
Mm-hmm.
up to the closest fire department, and the paramedic goes, "Oh, she's fine. Just go home and monitor her." I said, "She's swelling up.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anything." I said, "Forget you." And we walked out and we went to Nationwide Children's Hospital, and they gave her Benadryl, and they were livid. They got the paramedic's name and everything. They were just dumbfounded that he just didn't want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So she was between, I think, 2 and 3, and they did a test. She has severe dairy allergy. Um, every few years she has to go, and for a normal person, it's like a 0.3. So that, you have something, but you still tolerate, you can tolerate any kind of beef and milk and stuff, regular milk.
Mm-hmm.
Hers is a 11.3 to a 13 point something.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they said that they don't think she'll grow out of it. But what they wanted to test was to start adding dairy products little by little to get her to get over that allergy. And the doctor asked her after the test instead of before the test. And Anastasia said no. Because it was, her back flared up so bad they had to give her a Benadryl right there at the
Mm.
doctor's office. And so Anastasia's like, no. And she knows if hers is so bad. And so people can understand this. And you go to the grocery store. And so we've been doing this since she was a baby. Take the cart and wipe it down. Because if
Mm-hmm.
somebody's milk leaked or whatever, and they just wiped the cart, didn't clean it, if she
Mm-hmm.
touched that bar and it had milk residue or cheese residue, her face would just break out and she'd start to swell up.
Mm.
So when they were talking about the
Mm.
mask and everything, they started that. And I said, we've been cleaning carts before then.
Yeah.
I don't know what y'all get this stuff from, but people who do have food allergies and other allergies, we've been doing things long before, gloves and
Mm-hmm.
masks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, since 2009, 2010, um, with my son finally figuring out what he had, and then with Anastasia from 2013 till now, we still
Mm-hmm.
eat dairy free. We still have to get vegan cheese and vegan products. And the sour cream, I can say, from 2013 to now, the products have improved a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
more are coming out and everything, because it
Yeah.
used to be only diet cheese, and I was like, it did not taste like cheese. It was
Yeah.
awful. Now they
Yeah.
changed their formula, but now Anastasia's mom has a coconut allergy, so she can eat coconut, but she can't use products that have a coconut base. It breaks her out.
Ah. Okay.
So we don't understand that either. But we also found out through some research and everything that her mom, Anastasia's mom, had a milk intolerance growing up. So
Wow.
having it from both mom and dad, we
Mm-hmm.
figured that's why she has that dairy allergy.
Yeah.
So and then in 2017 we were at the park. You go to the park, have a picnic. Yeah, you have a tick here and there. You get it off and everything. I think I had one that I think found the next day, and didn't think anything of it. You know, a month later, um, my hands would get flared up and everything because I was eating. We would have like spaghetti one night, then chicken, and then pork, and then or chicken a couple more times during the week, and then all of a sudden it just started getting really bad. Went to my
Mm-hmm.
doctor. He said it was eczema. I said, "This is not eczema." Uh, Anastasia's parents said it was psoriasis. I was like, "This is not psoriasis. I know what psoriasis is because I've had I knew people growing up that had it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, so that was this is like 3 years ago. It's about 3 years ago. I just told him, I said, I did a Daniel fast. And, Lord would not let me talk about that until till now, till last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time I went to say about the Daniel fast, it was like he just shut my mouth. He said, not yet. It's not
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yep.
So I did a Daniel fast and my hands cleared up. And I was like, okay, so it's time to research what's going on. And that's when I found out from a tech you can get alpha gall. And Amy Fuel, and I'll put her link down below. She's in Virginia. I emailed her. She's a homesteader, and she said yes. Her husband has the same thing. And we talked back and forth a little bit. So that's not changed everything up about what I was eating. My hands cleared up and all. And I was just like, okay. But it was like, how this happened was one day I was in the kitchen and we had just had roast and I was fixing hamburgers. And I looked at it. I was like, I'm wondering if this is the problem. And I was just like, the Lord was just standing there tapping me on the shoulder. He goes, I'm telling you, he goes, there's your issue right there. And that's when I stopped and I did the Daniel fast. And I was like, so the Lord does still speak to us. Sometimes it seems
Yeah.
audible, sometimes it's not. And I'm just like, it was like he was just standing there. The Holy Spirit was just like, there's your issue, stop eating it. And I'm just like, oh, and I heard it clear as day. So I stopped eating all that. So everything cleared up and all. And then June of 2024, I finally got to go to the allergist and we did all the tests and everything. And it's not to the date, but exactly 7 years to the month, the Lord healed me. I do not have alpha gall anymore, but I still have to be, they're still stuck in my head about being leery about some meat to eat and everything. So I'm just like, I'm fine. I had my first regular hamburger. I didn't break out nothing, and it's like, and it helps with the grocery bill because ground turkey burger is expensive now. It used to be the cheapest thing to get. So
yeah, I've seen it jump here from for a long time. It was anywhere from $1.78 to $2 a pound. Now it can be over $5. And now if you
exactly,
get the really cheap one, it's not too bad price wise. Flavor wise, it's questionable.
I
But
know.
I mean, I'll admit I buy ground turkey because I like to add it to my chili. That way I don't have to add so much ground beef. Um, my favorite thing to put in it is bison, but the local Walmart store quit carrying it. Yeah, it was $8 a pound, but it was 93% lean too, and that's cheaper than extra lean ground beef. Not only that, bison, there are no known allergies to it. Not one. And it has twice the iron, twice the protein, no fat, because buffalo don't marble like beef do.
Right.
Um, and the only fat that is left on any cut of meat with a bison is on the T-bone and porterhouse steak, and that is to protect that little tiny tip. Most people cut those off because that fat can have a really strong flavor.
Oh
But
yes.
you need it there to protect that if you're going to freeze it. The ground meat, unless you add some fat to it, it's 100% lean and it's not going to hold together for anything. But if I go to buy ground bison now, it's almost $17 a pound. And that's not in my budget.
I don't know whose budget that
Um,
was in.
no. And I just, although I know where, well, not only a dealer, but I know where a sale barn is that I could buy one. I just don't have the freezer space to put one in because that is a tremendous amount of meat.
Oh, yes.
And, I mean, you're looking at anywhere from 400 to 600 pounds of meat, and that's a lot.
It
And
is a lot.
it's not, for me right now, it's not a feasible thing. But I like it. I love the taste of it. And the
Oh,
fact that, I mean, when we sold our meat, my husband and I raised them. And when we sold it, the first time I told somebody the price on our steaks, they were like, oh, no. And I said, yeah, but let me tell you something. I said, you're not paying for bone and you're not paying for fat. I unwrapped the steaks. I said, every bit of that is edible. You're not getting taken for bone and fat. And they were
wow.
like, all right, we want more. And so we didn't have a problem selling it. Um, we got out of it because of what the Bison Association was demanding. And my husband said, no. He said, we're not going to do that. He said, let's just get out of them while we're ahead and we'll get the loan taken care of and we're done.
Yeah.
And, but we knew somebody who still had them. And so if we wanted bison, that's where we went. Once we got our freezer emptied of our own meat, we just went down there to him.
Oh,
But
wow.
it just, and of course he had purchased one of our bulls, and so I was like, yeah, I know where this is coming from. This is going to be good stuff. But there are, and of course, you cannot fatten a buffalo. Um, there's no sense giving them hormones. They are grass fed. Yeah, you can grain them; they'll do fine, but they grow at a slower rate than what a beef does. And you can't give them all of the additives and crap that they do cattle. So since they don't consume it, there's no allergies.
Oh, wow. That's
And
good.
it uh, and they're not. I mean, ours were, of course, ours were big babies, um, terribly spoiled. Um, yeah, my dad had a neighbor that raised a lot of watermelons, and when he couldn't get rid of them, he asked Dad. He said, "Would Kim's buffalo eat those?" And Dad said, "Well, yeah." And they would argue over who got the most watermelon. They would eat until the juice was dripping out of that chin hair, and they loved it. In the wintertime, I kept yellow delicious apples on hand because if I needed them to get away from where somebody else was in the pen, all I had to do was say, "Come on, let's get apples," and here they'd come.
Oh,
And
wow.
they were very spoiled, but they also knew they were loved. And so,
Exactly.
um, but they were still wild, but they're awesome. Yeah,
Oh, that's
nutritionally, they're
good.
great.
Exactly. So, as far as the way we cook and everything, doing lives, going back to doing a lot of vegetables again, and then um,
Mm-hmm.
in the last couple of months, something started with my eye, and I thought it was some alpha acid stuff that is supposed to help with wrinkles and all.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, wait a minute, that started and some other things started off at the same time. And then I was drinking coffee that has chicory in it. And come to find out, because I have a grass pollen allergy, that if you have that, you're not supposed to have chicory. And then
Mm-hmm.
chamomile. And it's chicory, chamomile, ragweed, chrysanthemums, daisies, and another flower, marigolds. And so I had gotten, and this is before I knew it, ordered some chamomile tea bags because I was looking up what's good for inflammation, like different teas or whatever, and then put the chamomile
Mm-hmm.
tea bag on my eye. My eye was ballooned up the next day. So I was like, okay, that wasn't a good idea. So I do have medicine from the doctor, but I've I stopped drinking that coffee. My eye goes down at night. During the day and in the morning, it's not as bad as it was. But I have noticed that the top tear duct, if I cry, nothing comes out of it. So that could be an allergy from something else that now we'll have to start figuring that out. And all. So,
Well,
but
the
yeah,
tear duct could just be clogged after all this time too.
exactly. So I did go to
So,
the doctor this week, so he's gonna look at it and everything.
mhm.
So you know, people just, if you can find an allergist, my suggestion is go get the test done. If
Mhm.
if you can't afford one, your uh, insurance doesn't cover it. There's certain ways to know if you have an allergy. Like I said, do a Daniel fast, and there's loads of information on it online and everything. And then slowly start adding stuff back in. And if you haven't had something for a while, and all of a sudden you have sneezing and coughing and everything, that's a good sign that, oh, you might not be able to have that certain type of food,
Mhm.
or because it's like you were saying, it's in our medicines, it's in our everyday products, it's in our vitamins. You have to be very careful. And we're going to be going in more into detail as we do these, as we do the podcast. This is something we have learned over the years, Kim and I,
Mhm.
and, you know, especially Kim, because the medication that she has to be on, she can't have anything that has soy in it. And I was looking for, I can't have anything that has dairy in it. One, because I had the alpha gall, and two, because of Anastasia, and she still can't have dairy products around her.
Mhm.
So, in our next podcast, we'll be talking about um, like some of the medicines that have soy products in it, some of the names that they go by that you may not be aware of, even with the dairy, because they had it in different forms and different ways and everything. So we're going to try to keep these as 30 minutes and everything, so that it's not going to be overwhelming at one time for anybody, but just some good information about, if you have even pollen allergies, to be looking for that, like me, because I have a grass pollen. I can't have chamomile. I can't drink the tea either. So
Mhm.
it's a lot that's out there, but so a lot of good information also. So, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Um, just really watch. There is a chemical name for soy, and right now I cannot recall it. However, if you see the ingredient hydrolyzed vegetable, stay away from it. It's soy. If it says any type, if it says lecithin, lecithin is soy. There
Yes,
is another plant that they can derive it from, but guess what? It's very closely related to soy. Now, lecithin is in everything. My body has adjusted to it because it's there. I can tolerate it. I will not add to it because lecithin is a key ingredient in almost every cholesterol medication out there. So, no, I don't take them. I'll deal with the
exactly.
high numbers. I figure if the Lord wants me, He's going to get me when He chooses, and I'm just not going to be worried about it. I'm not going to worry about my cholesterol levels. Um,
Exactly.
but there are ways that they sneak it in, and they will use the chemical name, they will use a foreign name, and learn to read labels is the main thing. Start watching those labels.
Exactly. Well, we want to thank y'all for coming by. Be looking for the next podcast, My Kitchen, Your Kitchen. And, we're starting this journey about opening, eyes about allergies, food allergies, and what we can do about it and how we can look for it. So thank you, Kim, for joining me. I look forward to the
Thank
next
you.
time we're together. And everybody
Okay.
have a wonderful day.
Y'all be blessed.
Amen.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I think we did good.